today hear my portion of the Joint Markets Commentary podcast produced with my analyst colleagues at both ADMISI in London and our sister company ADMIS in Chicago. However, I will later today be speaking at the International Grains Conference in London at the same time as when I normally make my Joint Markets Commentary. Hence, I will be unable to take part in that broadcast. However, I think the technical analysis patterns I saw last week were important enough that they warranted my broadcasting and discussing them here as a separate video commentary. So here they are. So, last week in stock indexes, we had weekly key reversals up in the German DAX 30 futures, in the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index, and in the Russell 2000 Index. In the DAX, we have not seen a follow-on higher this week, with this pattern coming as it did right at the top of the market. So that all we have seen is a pullback within last week's range this week. However, in the Hang Seng, we have seen a more than suitable follow-on higher this week, as prices started approaching the recent high. And in the Russell 2000 Index, we have also seen a more than suitable follow-on higher, with prices now approaching the overhead gold long-moving average, which is currently 21.76. Over now to the currencies, and we had a weekly key reversal down last week. In the US dollar Mexican peso, which, as you can see on my daily chart, has not only had a suitable follow-on lower this week, but is also heading nicely lower within an early May-based bear channel, currently 1897.60 to 1931.63. However, other weekly key reversals down in US dollar Egyptian pound 1-year NDF, in US dollar Colombian peso, and in the US dollar Argentine peso blue dollar have not been so fortunate, with a strong reactionary move back up in US dollar Colombian peso this week, a very limited attempt lower in US dollar Egyptian pound 1-year NDF, and the US dollar Argentine peso blue dollar, well, basically going nowhere. Over now to commodities, and we had a weekly key reversal up last week in NYMEX heating oil futures in the US, which has seen a small follow-on higher this week, and also a small follow-on higher this week to last week's weekly key reversal